Humankind cannot gain anything without first giving something in return. To obtain, something of equal value must be lost. That is alchemy's first law of equivalent exchange.
You've heard it said that you cannot gain something unless you're willing to put in the time to get it. Equivalent exchange. Something that Full Metal Alchemist popularized. Brotherhood or regular, it doesn't really matter. The core mechanics is still the same. The act of sacrificing something of value for something of the same value, if not greater than. Like how Edward and Alfonso both tried getting their mother back from the dead, but ultimately paid the price for that. No spoilers. So why do we end up trading up our own resources, our time, energy, and value, thinking that it's infinite, for something that makes you feel good temporarily? For a moment of pleasure, we procrastinate, we jump through hoops to try and keep it up and avoid deadlines and tasks. We actively do things that are harming us rather than providing growth, as if tomorrow's promised. It's because delaying things makes us feel good and less worried about the situation, which causes us to drift away from our intended goal, chasing short-term goals that release dopamine, thinking there's a reward that can be earned, which tricks our brain into doing the same harmful things over and over and over again. My goodness. Yeah. That's it. That's practically it. Video's over. My mom was right. It's because of that damn phone. But that's the short answer, which is never satisfying. Then what's the long answer then? The long answer is something that I'll be taking a look into, so watch me descend into madness. Also, on the quick note though.
So you haven't really been uploading a lot, so where have you been?
Hear me out. I can explain. Just hear me out though. You listening?
Oh,
right, hear me out.
brother!
Things have gotten busy, to say the least, I didn't mean to starve you guys like a deadbeat dad. Here we are. Things have just gotten super busy to the point where it's become a whole handful, just been going through life and its motions, things happening back to back without a break. And don't get me even started with these gas prices. With all due respect, sir, we do not care with that. Just please continue with the video, kind sir. You know what? Fez. Besides that, I really want to take the chance to actually thank you guys for hitting an all-time high of 188 views. It might be small in this moment, but I have great faith and high hopes that it will be even greater than this, Let's get back to the main topic at hand. Dopamine, the chemical that feels like crack. Literally, the same chemical in our brains that has been used to fuel all kinds of addictions to certain things. The feel-good chemical, which the constant chase of it is what makes you lose sight of the path you've set out, leading you to fall into distractions, or maybe that's just having a terrible attention span. I will never know. Either way, that's the main culprit. The constant seeking of it will never end good, even if it's for but a moment. It's part of the reason why we trade our own time for something minimal. We trade something of importance for just a moment of feel good. It makes it harder to focus on our tasks when our distractions are so near to us, such as our phones. Something that might seem harmless at first, which was the intended case, to call, text friends in such a way that revolutionized technology. But it seems like the opposite has been happening for the past couple years, especially with the rise of social media. The apps that leech off your attention span and engagement. Who would have thought? But I'm sure you all are very aware by now by the high rate of growing illiteracy in the US, how unsuspecting the app gets you hooked to ideas, how it creates some sort of echo room to strengthen your own beliefs, even if they happen to be wrong. But no matter how you put it, the point is still there. We live in an age where everything begs for your attention. And if they don't beg, they grab it. An age where it makes it so impossible to focus on one task. And realistically, deleting social media would solve a good 90% of our problems. But we won't do that, so I don't even know why I even bothered to say that. But regardless, the point is still there. Your attention being grabbed into something random is one of the main causes of this issue. Especially with the Especially with the dopamine. If it gives you Especially with the dopamine it gives your brain whenever you scroll, like, share, or literally anything you do in the app, which trains your brain to keep seeking that same dopamine, like a crackhead fiending for crack. That's why some of us mindlessly doom scroll without realizing it, craving the same rush that was once experienced before. It's designed to keep you hooked, to keep you engaged, even for a moment longer. And they don't care whatever you do in your life, just only the fact that you're on it. Well, how do we stop it in this case? I don't know, bro. I'm in the same boat as y'all. But honestly, I would highly encourage actively limiting your time on said apps and maybe even going outside and touching grass. Like that's ever gonna happen. What I ought to do, I don't do. But what I don't want to do, I do. These are the words from Apostle Paul, roughly paraphrased, and yes, the very same Paul who wrote a good chunk of the New Testament. But besides religion, he has a good point. Doing the things that we aren't supposed to do because it feels good brings about death. Maybe not in the physical sense, but the death of yourself and your core being, as we've seen with doom scrolling. The death of your desires, the death of your creativity, identity, and a whole bunch of things. Which ties me back to Full Metal Alchemist. Alfonso and Edward sacrificed something of value for something of even greater value, a human life. For Edward, it was his right arm and his left leg. And for Alfonso, it was his very being that was being traded in, his entire flesh. But Edward acted with such swiftness that he bounded Alfonso's soul onto an armor. Without spoiling too much of the show, if you really haven't watched it, then I would really encourage you guys to, actually tell you to watch it. It's really, really, really good, It doesn't matter whether you watch Full Metal Alchemist or Brotherhood, I'm pretty sure. Full Metal is just a different ending. But regardless, watch it. The two brothers go around the world trying to figure out a way to bring Alfonso back into his body, to find a way to get Alfonso's body back by looking for the Philosopher's Stone. The whole show screams the same message. In order to get something, you need to trade in the time and effort for it. It's the same thing used even outside the anime. In real life, you can't pass a test if you haven't taken the time to study for it. You can't expect to get to point B if you haven't already reached point A. Equivalent exchange. While they traded in something for life, you're trading in something for death. And what's been traded in cannot be taken back. Avoidance, whether intentional or unintentional, often creates the same situation, which leads to everything that I've been talking about for the past 10 minutes. But sometimes, we often avoid things altogether due to the pressures of life or even outside sources, further delaying the inevitable until it eventually catches up to us. Whether it's personal struggles or even feeling like you didn't have enough time to spend on yourself. All that compounds to the point where it becomes unavoidable in the end. Running won't help because you'll be going around in circles. And it honestly seems silly for me to use this as a reasoning. But the main point is still there. Sometimes things are just unavoidable. Things get super hectic, super busy to the point where you don't have the time to do what you want to do or have to get things done. And with that, it's completely understandable. But regardless, something was given, traded in for something else. Others procrastinate due to fear or even anxiety, not knowing what will happen, so they choose to stay in the current circumstance rather than taking a step. In the end, there's a multitude of reasonings behind one action, which everyone does. In the end, we're all doing the exact same thing until we actively choose to get up and start moving. You can't help someone who's unable to help themselves. Nor can you force yourself to do something unless you truly desire the change in your heart. Regardless of said distractions or the seeking of dopamine, it's able to be overcome by actively resisting the temptations to the very same things harming you. Running away from them and actively trying to create better habits to use the time given to you wisely rather than wasting away doing absolutely nothing till it's too late. And honestly, everything I just said just resonated more with me myself, because I ain't gonna lie, I procrastinated making this video, but at the same time things were super busy and has gotten super hectic to the point where I didn't have as much time as I thought I would to set in stone to make this video on time. I wanted this video out by March. Unfortunately, I passed that deadline. Oh well. But either way, this seems like a whole new topic. It's a brand new series, I would say. But once again, I'm thankful for you guys. Super grateful that you guys are able to, reach an all-time high of views and even got 2 new subscribers. Yay! But regardless, once again, hope you guys take care.